UFC's back in Canada, eh? First time in Edmonton in 5 years. And the first fight night that we're getting the new unified rules. I'm talking 12 to 6 elbows. I'm talking knees to a grounded opponent. And as always, plenty of money to be made. Let's get into it. First fight of the night, we got Mike Malott taking on Trevin Giles. So Malott, he's 10-2-1. That is 3-1 in the UFC. Giles is 16-6. That is 7-6 in the UFC. Malott has won 6 of his last 7. All 7 of those fights did not go the distance. Giles has lost 3 of his last 5 and was finished in all 3 of those losses. Both guys are 32 years old, but Malott will be 33 in about a week's time. I'm taking Mike Malott here. Minus 240, gonna parlay it. I know he gassed against Neil Magny, but he looked really good in the UFC leading up to that fight. All 10 of his wins have come by finish, and Giles has been finished in all 6 of his career losses. I think there's a clear path to victory for Malott here. If you want to take him by finish, it's still minus money. So what I'm going to recommend instead is just taking the prop of Malott by sub. It's plus 250. 6 of his 10 wins have come by sub, including his last 2 wins, and Giles has been subbed 3 times before. And another prop I like, you'd have to parlay it. The over 1.5. It's minus 135. Malott's only hit it twice in 13 pro fights, but he did hit it in his last fight. And Giles has hit it in 10 of his 13 pro fights, UFC fights, excuse me. So Giles likes to hit it. Malott, not so much. A little risky, but I kind of like the over 1.5 there. Next fight of the night, we got Marc-Andre Barriault taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. So Barriault is 16-8 with 1 no contest. That is 5-7 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Stoltzfus is 15-6. That is 2-5 in the UFC. Barriault has lost 3 of his last 5 and was finished in his last fight. But Stoltzfus has also lost 3 of his last 5 and was finished in all 3 of those losses. Barriault, 34 years old. Stoltzfus will be 33 in about 2 weeks, so he'll be 32 on fight night. I'm taking the power bar here. Marc-Andre Barriault, minus 175. I'm actually going to parlay it with Mike Malott from the fight before. Gets us a nice plus 123. I like that a lot. His last 3 losses came to 2 current top 15 opponents and Joe Pyfer, so really not bad losses at all. Stoltzfus has lost 5 of his last 7. None of those fights were against ranked opponents. And the only 2 wins in that span came to a guy who was no longer in the UFC and a guy who was 4-4 in the UFC. So really not facing good competition at all. If you're looking for anything else to take, how about the over 2.5? It's minus 135. Barriault has hit it in 7 of his 13 UFC fights. Stoltzfus has only hit it in 3 of his 7 UFC fights, but that's still 50% of their combined UFC fights to hit the over 2.5. I kind of like this one to go long. If you don't think it's going to go long, how about Barriault by KO? It's plus 205. 10 of his 16 pro wins have come by KO, and Stoltzfus was KO'd in his last 2 losses. Next fight of the night, we got Caio Machado taking on Brendson Ribeiro. So Machado is 8-3-1. That is 0-2 in the UFC. Ribeiro is 15-7, and he's also 0-2 in the UFC. Someone's always got to go. Machado has won 7 of his last 9, but he's lost 2 in a row. Ribeiro has won 3 of his last 5. Machado, 30 years old. Ribeiro, still just 28 years old. I struggled which one I was going to take here, but I eventually settled on fight does not go the distance, minus 180. Obviously going to parlay it. I'll get to it later. But yeah, 6 of Machado's 12 pro fights have not gone the distance, and 21 of Ribeiro's 23 pro fights have not gone the distance. That is 77% combined. So I like that a lot. The other bet I was considering taking, if you're looking for anything else, you'd also have to parlay it. The over 1.5, it's minus 150. Machado has hit it in 6 of his 12 pro fights, including both of his UFC fights. And Ribeiro's only hit it in 5 of his 23 pro fights, but did hit it in his last fight. So maybe he's going a little longer these days. Another prop I like a lot, fight NKO. It's plus 100. 4 of Machado's 8 pro wins have come by KO, and 9 of Ribeiro's 15 pro wins have come by KO, and he's been KO'd before. So another prop I like, Ribeiro by finish plus 225. All 15 of his wins have come by finish. but Machado has never been finished before. Another prop, Machado by decision plus 235. Only 2 of his 8 pro wins have come by decision, but his last win did come by decision. And Ribeiro's last loss also came by decision. Next fight of the night, we got Derrick Lewis taking on Jhonata Diniz. So the Black Beast is 28-12 with 1 no contest. This will be his 30th fight in the UFC. He is 19-10. Diniz is 8-0. That is 2-0 in the UFC. Lewis has lost 4 of his last 6, and 5 of those did not go the distance. Diniz is undefeated, so he's obviously won 8 fights in a row. Derrick Lewis getting up there, 39 years old. Diniz still just 33. You're going to give me Derrick Lewis at plus money here. You know I'm taking it. Derrick Lewis money line plus 165. I'm on that all day. He's got more than 5 times the amount of pro fights as Diniz. And he's got unreal fucking knockout power. Diniz has never fought anyone in the top 15. Lewis has fought 9 of the current top 15 guys. And that doesn't include the Ngannous of the world, the Cormiers of the world. The list can go on. But I'm riding with Derrick Lewis here. Let's get it done, baby. If you're looking for anything else to take, how about Diniz by KO? Minus 120. You'd have to parlay it. 7 of his 8 pro wins have come by KO, and Lewis has been KO'd 7 times. Another prop I like a lot is the over 1.5. It's plus 120. Lewis has only hit it 3 times in his last 10 fights, but he has hit it 2 fights in a row now. And Diniz has only hit it once in 8 pro fights, but he did hit it in his last fight. So going more longer, more recently. And if you want a little extra sprinkle on Derrick Lewis, take him by KO. It's plus 175. 23 of his 28 pro wins have come by KO, including 15 of his 19 UFC wins. The only caveat, Diniz has never been knocked out before. So co-main event, we got Erin Blanchfield taking on Rose Namajunas. So Blanchfield is 12-2. That is 6-1 in the UFC. Rose is 13-6. That is 11-5 in the UFC. Blanchfield has won 9 of her last 10. Lone loss in that span came to Manon Fiorot. Rose has won 7 of her last 10, and she also lost to Fiorot in that span. Blanchfield just 25 years old. Rose 32 years old. You're going to give me the veteran Rose at plus money. I'm taking that all day too. Rose Namajunas money line plus 122. Her last 5 wins have come against currently ranked opponents. Blanchfield has only 1 win over a currently ranked opponent, and she's coming off her first career loss in the UFC. So I feel like, Rose might be able to out-savvy her here and get the job done. If you're looking for anything else to take, how about the over 2.5 rounds? It's minus 550. This is a 5-rounder, but it's hard to get 4.5 stats because, Erin's only been scheduled for 1. Rose has been scheduled for a bunch. But either way, we're going to go off the 2.5. Rose has hit the 2.5 in 12 of her 19 pro fights, including 5 straight. Erin has hit it in 8 of her 14 pro fights, including 2 straight. That is 61% combined. Looking for anything else to take? How about Blanchfield money line? Minus 135. She's a good grappler, which Rose has struggled with, especially against the Esparza. She's only lost to currently ranked flyweights, and Rose has lost 2 of her last 4. Could be a path there. I also like Blanchfield by decision, plus 140. 6 of her 12 pro wins have come by decision, and Rose has lost by decision 4 times. Main event, we got Brandon Moreno taking on Amir Albazi. Moreno is 21-8-2. That is 10-5-2 in the UFC. Albazi is 17-1. That is 5-0 in the UFC. Moreno has lost 3 of his last 5. Albazi has won 6 straight, 4 of those coming by finish. Moreno, 30 years old. Albazi just turned 32 a few days ago. I'm taking the over 2.5 rounds here. It's minus 310. I'm going to parlay it with fight does not go the distance on Machado Ribeiro, and it's plus 106 altogether. Moreno's hit it in 13 of his 17 UFC fights, and Albazi's only hit it in 2 of his 5 UFC fights, but he did hit it in his last fight, and that is 68% combined in their UFC fights that it's hit. Looking for anything else to take? Moreno money line, you'd have to parlay at minus 150. In the UFC, he's only lost to the current champ, the former champ, the former Bellator champ, and the current number 1 contender. I mean, it's a who's who. His last 2 wins came over top 5 guys, and Albazi has only 1 win over currently ranked flyweight, and it was a really controversial split decision.
I'm worth 100,000 like Woodrow. When a ball call me Wilson, going overboard at the Hilton.